the Buffalo Bills picking number 25 in the first round. Traps, have you gotten used to the Bills picking late in the first round at this point?
It's weird. I mean, it was always
Breach isn't going to know what to do on Thursday
at 31 for the Bengals. Yeah, seriously. Yeah. So for me, it was always like the Bills were in like purgatory forever. They picking between like 10 and 16 or 18 for like what seemed like my whole life. So to pick like 30 last year and then 25 this year is definitely strange. I did look it up. Chad Jackson was the 36th pick in that draft. So it seemed like he was the first rounder for some reason, but I was wrong on that. The Bills need corner. I have been the biggest driver of the pick a wide receiver bandwagon, even after signing Jamison Crowder. I just think they have to get younger at that position. Jameson Williams, if he's there, I think would make a ton of sense. I don't know if they would ultimately do it, but being that they're in the position that they are, they're the favorites on the betting market to win the Super Bowl next year. If Jameson Williams like can't play at 100% until like November, feels like given their roster makeup, especially in the wide receiver room, the Bills would be okay with that. Maybe more so than any other team. I mean, maybe outside the Chiefs, but now they have such a glaring need after trading Tyreek Hill. They need corner too. I mean, not only did they lose Levi Wallace, but to have Tre'Davious White tearing his ACL on Thanksgiving weekend, he may not be 100% to start the season. And they play a lot of zone. So those Washington corners that I mentioned earlier, Trent McDuffie, Kyler Gordon. I love Andrew Booth from Clemson. I think he's super twitchy. The ball skills are tremendous. I think he could be really good in Sean McDermott's defense. And then offensive guard is still a little bit of a need. I mean, Ryan Bates is signing a restricted free agent offer sheet, which doesn't happen very often. The Bills have 5 days to match that. If they don't, then suddenly they have a pretty good line with Roger Saffold, Deion Dawkins, Mitch Morse. But then the other guard spot is kind of vacant at this point. You can't really rely on Cody Ford anymore. So one of those three positions, wide receiver, corner, or guard in round one. If Zion Johnson from Boston College was there, I would be fine with that selection. It just feels like he's going to go a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I can see how this is going to go. It's whoever gets to talk first is going to steal the other one's prospects that fit that team, because I had written down.
I was just thinking, I guess we'll just alternate here that way. Cause if you go first, you're like, hey, here's the best fit. And then the other guy's like, well, screw you, bro. That's fine. Like, I think that's the best fit too.
Yeah. So I had Trent McDuffie and I had Zion Johnson as the two names that I had written down. Obviously,
and look, by the way, if you do have overlapping ones, there's nothing wrong. Make sure and mention that before offering up anybody else, just because I think, if you have multiple opinions who believe that these guys are good fits, that only serves to sort of bolster the idea that could be a good prospect for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably more of a kiss of death than anything, but
that's right.
Cornerback, offensive guard, those were the two positions that I kind of honed in on with the Bills pick. Traps went through everything, obviously. As we get into day two fits, I looked at Dylan Parham from Memphis as a guy that could possibly slide into that interior offensive line. And then the other guy that I had was Martin Emerson, a cornerback from Mississippi State. So same wavelength, both targeting the same positions. You get one in the first round, maybe you come back and get the other position on day two.
I'll throw in two more names quick because we got to do more time on the Bills because it's me on this podcast. Sure. Roger McCreary from Auburn in round two.
Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to really milk this as long as I can with the Bills being Super Bowl favorites. Roger McCreary, the cornerback from Auburn, to me has first round film. He's got like super short arms, under 30 inches, which is almost unheard of. And he ran 4.50 at the combine. I think people thought he was a little faster, but you watch him even against Jamar Chase in 2019, the Alabama receivers the past couple of years, always put up a really good fight. I think like Josh said, if they go wide receiver or guard in the round one, corner in round two will be a gigantic need on day two. And the other player I have to mention, because he's probably my favorite, like under the radar prospect in the entire class, Sky Moore from Western Michigan. I'm a huge fan of his. The Bills actually, despite having such a good offense last 2 years, finished with the second fewest yards after the catch per reception last year. Only the Dolphins had a lower average yards after the catch per reception. A little bit of it was scheme based, but with Cole Beasley and even Stephon Diggs, who's pretty agile, they just were not creating a lot of extra yardage for Josh Allen. Sky Moore is really good in that area. And that's, even if they don't go Sky Moore, I think as the Bills come up in the first round, second and third, we should kind of lean toward receivers that can create with the ball in their hands, because I think that's the one kind of layer of the Bills offense that needs to improve.